Welcome to my channel, Unleash Your English, my friends. You know, sometimes the biggest changes in life don't come from big plans. They come from a tiny habit that you do every single day. I used to think English needed hours and hours of study, but then I found something different. A simple 5-minute trick that changed everything: the way I spoke, the way I listened, even the way I thought. So stay with me till the end, because in this video, I'll tell you how one small action every day can transform your English completely. Comment below. Do you also feel you don't have enough time to study English? Let's talk about it. Chapter 1. When I had no time for English. I used to wake up every morning with one promise to myself. Today, I'll study English. I said it every day, and every night I broke it. Life always came first. Work, family, messages, calls, tiredness. Every excuse looked real at that time. I thought I needed one full hour to learn English. I thought short time was useless. But that thought was the real reason I stayed stuck for years. I remember sitting on my bed one night, my phone in my hand, videos playing one after another. I saw people speaking English confidently. They smiled, they sounded natural, and I thought, maybe they're just talented. Maybe I can never speak like that. That moment hurt me deeply. I wanted to learn, but I was drowning in my own excuses. I told myself I was too busy, too tired, too late to start. Then one morning, something small changed inside me. I woke up, looked in the mirror, and said, "What if I just give 5 minutes?" It sounded silly. Just 5 minutes. What can happen in 5 minutes? But I had nothing to lose. I set a timer on my phone and said my first sentence out loud. I want to learn English. My voice sounded nervous. I even laughed at myself. But it was real. It was me trying again. When the timer stopped, I felt strange. I had spoken English for 5 minutes without fear. I didn't wait for a teacher. I didn't open a book. I didn't worry about grammar. I just spoke. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like a failure. I felt alive. That small action lit a tiny fire in me. The next day, I did it again and again. At first, it was just 5 minutes before work, sometimes while brushing my teeth, sometimes during my tea break. The more I did it, the lighter I felt. I stopped saying I have no time, because suddenly, I had created time. I realized time was never the problem. My mindset was. Each morning, I told myself, 5 minutes is enough to change something, and it did. I noticed small changes. I started thinking in English for a few seconds. I caught myself understanding small phrases from movies. I started smiling when I heard English songs because I could recognize a few words. These moments felt magical. But I won't lie, some days, I wanted to skip it. I felt lazy. I thought, it's just 5 minutes, who cares? But then I remembered how good I felt after each small session, so I forced myself to show up, even if I didn't feel ready. That was the biggest lesson. You don't wait for motivation, you create it by showing up. I began to see learning not as a heavy task, but as a friend I meet for 5 minutes daily. I didn't need a perfect plan. I needed honesty with myself. Those 5 minutes made me consistent. They taught me that progress is not made in one big jump. It's made in many small steps. And the best part? That 5-minute habit started to change how I saw myself. I was no longer the person who said, "I'll do it later." I became the person who actually did it. Even if it was small, it was real. Every single day, I was moving forward, while others were waiting for the perfect moment. Looking back, I realized something powerful. It wasn't the grammar lessons or the vocabulary lists that changed me. It was my decision to begin. It was the courage to say, I'll do what I can today. You don't need to be perfect to start speaking. You just need to start. If you are watching this, and you feel like me, busy, tired, unsure, remember this. You don't need hours. You need minutes. You don't need everything to be perfect. You need to begin. The moment you give just 5 minutes, you break the wall that's stopping you. Because sometimes, the smallest door leads to the biggest change, and that 5-minute door opened a whole new world for me. My journey began with no time and no plan, but it started with one choice: to use the time I already had. That's when I realized learning English is not about how much time you have, it's about how much heart you give in that time. And from that day, my English journey truly began. Chapter 2: The 5-Minute Decision. It all started with a choice that looked too small to matter. Just 5 minutes. But that tiny choice had power I never imagined. I remember that morning clearly. The sun was quiet, my coffee was still warm, and my mind was full of excuses. Maybe tomorrow, I thought, I'm tired, I'll study later. But something inside me said, what if later never comes? That question changed everything. I picked up my phone and opened the timer again. 5 minutes. It looked like nothing, but it felt like a promise. A promise to myself that I would stop waiting for the perfect day. I would stop thinking I needed a big plan. I would just start. My heart was beating fast, not because of fear, but because I finally made a real decision. That first week was not easy. Some mornings, I wanted to skip it. Some nights, I felt too lazy. But every time I finished those 5 minutes, I felt proud. I felt stronger. I felt like I was becoming a new version of myself. I realized that discipline is not born from strength. It's born from a small decision that you repeat again and again until it becomes your nature. At first, I didn't even know what to do in those 5 minutes. I just talked to myself in English. Simple sentences. I am learning English. I can speak. I am improving. It sounded funny, but it made me feel alive. I wasn't studying English. I was living it. That was the difference. The more I practiced, the more I understood something important. The biggest barrier is not time or grammar or memory. It's our mind. We keep telling ourselves stories like, I can't do it, I'm too old, I don't have time. These are lies we repeat so often that we start believing them. But when you give yourself just 5 minutes, those lies start to fade. You begin to see the truth: you can do this. You always could. I learned that 5 minutes is not about how long you practice, it's about proving something to yourself. It's about saying, I showed up today. You don't need a teacher to do that. You don't need perfect pronunciation. You just need courage to begin. Every single time you practice, even for a few minutes, you tell your brain, English is part of my life now. And slowly, your brain believes you. After a few days, those 5 minutes became something I looked forward to. It was my time, my small victory in a busy world. It made me calm, focused, and hopeful. I realized I didn't have to wait for motivation. Motivation comes after action, not before. When you start, energy follows. Every time I finished, I wanted to do more. Sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 15, but I never forced it. I just kept my promise: at least 5 minutes, no matter what. That small habit began to grow roots inside me. I felt proud even on bad days because I didn't give up. I learned to trust myself again. I learned that big dreams begin with small decisions. And that is the beauty of the 5-minute trick: it removes fear. You don't think of years or levels or grammar. You only think of today. You only think of 5 minutes. So many people wait for the right moment to start. But the right moment never comes. You make it. The moment you decide to give even 5 minutes to your dream, that's when change begins. You're not just learning English, you're building a new identity. The identity of someone who doesn't quit. That day, I didn't just learn English words, I learned a life lesson. The smallest decision can build the biggest transformation. All it takes is one yes, one choice, one tiny step in the right direction. 5 minutes may sound small, but it's enough to change your story. It changed mine, and it can change yours too. Chapter 3: The Trick Itself. So, what was the 5-minute trick that changed everything for me? It was not magic. It was not a secret method from a teacher or a book. It was something so simple that most people ignore it. I started talking to myself in English for just 5 minutes every day. That was it. No grammar rules, no long study sessions, no big plans. Just 5 minutes of speaking to myself, out loud, with full attention and emotion. The first time I tried it, I felt shy even though I was alone. I looked around my room as if someone was watching me. My voice sounded strange. My accent was different. My sentences were broken. But I spoke anyway. I said things like, I woke up early today. I am drinking tea. I feel good. These were simple sentences, but they were real. They came from my life, and that made them powerful. I started enjoying those small talks with myself. I talked about my day, my plans, my dreams. I even talked about how I was learning English. I said, I'm improving. I'm getting better. I can speak. At first, it felt silly. But after a few days, something changed. My sentences became faster. My thoughts started forming in English. I wasn't translating anymore. I was thinking in English. That was the moment I knew this trick was working. Speaking to yourself is more powerful than people think. When you talk to yourself in English, you become both the student and the teacher. You listen, you correct, and you improve. Your brain starts connecting words faster because it hears your own voice again and again. You don't need anyone to judge you. You are free to make mistakes. And that freedom is where real learning begins. Every morning, I would stand in front of the mirror and start my 5-minute talk. Sometimes it was about how I felt. Sometimes it was about what I wanted to achieve. Sometimes I just described what I saw. This is my bed. These are my books. The sun is shining. It may sound simple, but it was training my brain to think and describe everything in English. I was building confidence without even realizing it. Soon, I started using my 5 minutes in creative ways. I played English songs and repeated the lines. I watched a short clip and copied the sentences. I shadowed speakers I admired. I repeated after them again and again. I didn't worry if my pronunciation was perfect. I only focused on flow. That was my goal, to speak without stopping. And every time I did it, I felt a little more confident. This 5-minute trick became a small game for me. I tried to make it fun. Some days I pretended I was giving a speech. Some days I acted like I was talking to a friend. It was not just practice, it was play. And that's what made it powerful. When you enjoy something, your brain learns faster. You remember more. You grow faster. After a few weeks, I noticed something beautiful. My fear started disappearing. I stopped worrying about grammar. I stopped worrying about mistakes. I focused on connection. I realized that English was not a subject. It was a living skill. A skill that grows only when you use it daily. And those 5 minutes gave me that chance every single day. If you try this trick, remember one thing. Speak from your heart, not from your memory. Don't repeat boring textbook lines. Talk about you, your thoughts, your emotions, your world. That's what makes your English real. When your English becomes real, it becomes unforgettable. Looking back now, I understand why this simple trick worked so well. Because it removed pressure, it removed fear, it made English part of my daily life. And when something becomes part of your life, you don't forget it, you live it. So if you are still waiting for the perfect way to learn, stop waiting. Take 5 minutes today. Stand in front of the mirror. Talk to yourself in English. Tell your story, even if no one is listening. Because one day, you will speak in front of everyone, and you will remember where it all began with just 5 minutes and your own voice. Chapter 4: The Unexpected Results. I never thought something so small could change so much. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes of talking to myself every day. But slowly, that little habit started to move mountains inside me. At first, I didn't even notice it. One day, I caught myself thinking in English without trying. I was walking to the store, and my mind said, "I need to buy some bread." It was a simple sentence, but it came naturally. I smiled to myself because it felt like magic. In the beginning, I used to translate every word from my native language. It made my mind slow and tired. But now, English was becoming automatic. It wasn't something I was forcing anymore. It was becoming part of who I was. That's when I realized that consistency is stronger than talent. I didn't become better because I studied more. I became better because I showed up every single day, even for 5 minutes. People around me began to notice small changes too. My voice sounded more confident. My pronunciation was clearer. I didn't hide when someone spoke English near me. I didn't run away from conversations. I started listening carefully, understanding more words, and replying without fear. I could finally feel the progress I had dreamed of for so long. And it didn't happen because I worked harder. It happened because I stayed consistent. I remember one moment that felt truly special. I was at a cafe, and a tourist asked me for directions in English. My heart jumped. Normally, I would freeze or pretend not to understand. But this time, I smiled and answered naturally. Go straight and then turn left. It was such a simple sentence, but to me, it felt like a victory. I walked away that day feeling proud. That was the moment I understood that 5 minutes a day can build courage that lasts forever. Every small improvement gave me more motivation. I started to look forward to my 5-minute sessions. They felt like personal victories. They were proof that even small effort creates real change. I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to keep going. That idea gave me freedom. I stopped comparing myself to others. I stopped saying, "I am not good enough." I started saying, "I am better than yesterday." That one sentence changed my entire journey. The best part was how learning English started to change other parts of my life. My confidence grew not only in language, but also in everything I did. I started believing in small habits. I understood that big goals are not reached in one big jump. They are built one small step at a time. I began waking up earlier. I started reading more. I became more patient. It was like English was teaching me how to live better, not just how to speak better. Some days were still difficult. I still made mistakes. I still forgot words. But those moments didn't make me stop. Instead, I learned to laugh at them. I realized mistakes are not signs of weakness, they are signs of growth. The more I made them, the more I learned. I became fearless. I understood that no one in the world speaks perfectly, not even native speakers. Everyone learns through practice. That truth made me unstoppable. The funny thing is that my 5-minute trick didn't just improve my English, it changed my attitude toward learning. I became curious, open, and brave. I learned that progress is invisible in the beginning. You don't see it right away, but it's happening quietly inside you. One day, It shows up in your voice, your thoughts, and your confidence. If you are trying this trick right now, please don't underestimate it. You might think 5 minutes can't make a difference, but trust me, it can. Because it's not about time, it's about intention. When you give 5 honest minutes from your heart, your mind starts to change. Your brain begins to believe that you can do it. Looking back now, I'm thankful I didn't give up. Those small, quiet minutes became the foundation of my English. They gave me the power to speak, to express, and to dream in a new language. And all of it began with a decision that looked too small to matter. That's the beauty of growth. It often hides in the smallest actions that we almost ignore. But when you trust the process and stay consistent, those small actions create the biggest miracles. Chapter 5: How You Can Start Today. If there is one thing I've learned, it is this: you don't need to wait for the right time. The best time is always now. So many people dream of speaking English, but they wait. They wait for more time, more confidence, more resources. They wait for life to get easier. But life never slows down for anyone. The secret is to begin even when things are not perfect. That's what I did, and that's what you can do too, starting today. You don't need a fancy plan. You don't need a teacher beside you. You don't even need to be ready. All you need is 5 minutes and a small promise to yourself. Set a timer. Just 5 minutes. Then choose one small activity that brings you closer to English. Maybe talk to yourself in the mirror. Maybe listen to a short audio and repeat the sentences. Maybe write 3 simple lines about your day. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Worry only if you stop. The first few days might feel strange. You might think your sentences sound silly or broken, but that's okay. Every fluent speaker once sounded just like you. The only difference is that they didn't quit. So don't compare yourself to anyone. Just focus on showing up. You are not building English in one day. You are building it 1 minute at a time. I remember how I began. I started by saying one sentence: I am learning English. I repeated it again and again until it felt natural. Then I added more. I am learning English every day. I can speak. I can understand. I said these sentences with energy and belief. I looked in the mirror and spoke to myself as if I were my own teacher. It was not just practice. It was training my mind to believe that English was already a part of me. You can do the same. Don't worry about making mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. Speak even when you are nervous. Write even when you are unsure. Listen even when you don't understand everything. Every small effort is a seed, and one day, these seeds will grow into confidence and fluency. But you have to water them daily with your 5 minutes of effort. The beauty of this trick is its simplicity. You don't need hours, you just need consistency. Think about it. 5 minutes a day means 35 minutes a week. That's more than 2 hours a month. And you are not wasting time. You are growing every single day, step by step, without pressure. If you want to make this a real habit, connect it with something you already do. For example, after brushing your teeth, spend 5 minutes speaking English. Or right before sleeping, write 3 sentences in a notebook about your day. Make it part of your life. Not a task, a habit. Once it becomes a habit, it won't feel like work anymore. It will feel like breathing. And when you start, don't expect to feel confident immediately. Confidence doesn't appear on day 1, it grows quietly. It builds itself while you practice. One day, you will surprise yourself. You will speak naturally without thinking. You will understand a movie without subtitles. You will realize that your 5 minutes created something beautiful inside you. So, promise yourself today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Take just 5 minutes and start. Don't wait for someone to push you. You are enough to begin. You have everything you need inside you already. Just decide, right now, that your journey begins today. Every big change in life starts with one small moment of courage. This is yours. Pick up your phone, open your mouth, speak one sentence in English. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. 5 minutes can look small, but it can change the direction of your life. Start today, and one day, you'll look back and smile at this moment, because this is the day your story began. Your 5-minute story, the story that will transform your English and your confidence forever. Chapter 6: The Transformation. Looking back now, it's hard to believe how much changed because of one small decision. 5 minutes. That was all it took to begin a journey that completely transformed my English and my confidence. When I started, I didn't expect much. I just wanted to try something new. But what I found was much more than a language improvement. I found a new version of myself. I became a person who didn't wait for the perfect time. I became someone who didn't give up after failing once or twice. Every day, I gave 5 minutes to my dream, and those minutes started to shape my identity. I was no longer the person who said I can't. I became the person who said I will. That simple change in my attitude changed everything around me. English stopped being a subject to study. It became a part of my life. I spoke to myself in English when I felt happy, when I felt sad, and even when I was confused. The words became my companions. They were with me in the morning when I looked in the mirror, and at night when I wrote about my day. Slowly, English became more than a language. It became my voice. There was a time when I used to doubt myself. I used to think learning English was for smart people, for people with time and money. But now I know that's not true. It's for anyone who has a little bit of courage every day. It's for those who are ready to begin, even if they are afraid. Because courage doesn't mean you feel no fear. It means you act even when you are afraid. That's what I did. And you can too. The transformation wasn't sudden. It came quietly. One small step at a time. One small win after another. One day, I realized I could understand a full English song. Another day, I noticed I was writing messages in English without thinking. And one morning, I spoke fluently with a stranger and didn't even notice until later. These small victories built a new confidence inside me. They told me that I was no longer the same person who once said, "I'll start tomorrow." English gave me more than words. It gave me discipline. It taught me that small actions, when done with heart, create big results. It taught me that real success doesn't happen in one moment. It's built quietly, in daily effort that no one sees. The world saw my fluency, but I knew it was built in those silent 5-minute moments when I chose to show up. There is something special about habits. They change you slowly, gently, without you realizing it. The 5-minute habit didn't just teach me English. It taught me to believe in myself. It showed me that I can grow in any area of my life if I stay consistent. It reminded me that we don't need to do everything at once. We just need to keep moving forward, even if it's one tiny step each day. If you are watching this right now, I want you to know that you have everything it takes. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have the best accent. You don't need to know every word. You just need to begin. Give yourself 5 minutes today and watch how those minutes slowly build your future. One day, you will look back just like I am now, and you will smile. You will remember how it all started with that first decision. You will feel proud of every small effort you made, because all those small efforts will create a big result. That's how transformation happens. Not suddenly, but silently, every day, inside you. So, believe in your 5 minutes. Believe in your voice. Believe that your small actions matter, because they do. I am living proof of that. English changed my life, and it can change yours too. All it takes is one simple choice. Start today, speak today, believe today. Your transformation begins the moment you decide not to quit. It begins now. And one day, you'll thank yourself for starting with just 5 minutes. Chapter 7. The Power of Small Wins. When I look back at my journey, I realize something beautiful. I didn't become fluent in one big moment. I became fluent through hundreds of small wins. Every 5-minute session, every short conversation with myself, every tiny step I took, it all added up. And that's what I want you to remember today. The power of small wins is greater than any big dream that you never start. In the beginning, I didn't know this truth. I used to think that only big progress mattered. I thought if I didn't study for 1 hour, or learn 20 new words, I wasn't doing enough. But I was wrong. Real growth doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens quietly, through consistency. One day, one sentence, one effort at a time. That's how transformation begins. Each small win I experienced gave me strength to keep going. The first time I spoke a full sentence without stopping. The first time I understood a movie line without subtitles. The first time I wrote a small paragraph in English. Those moments looked tiny to others, but they felt huge to me. Because each one whispered, "You are improving." And that whisper kept me moving forward, even when no one was watching. There were days when I didn't see any progress. Days when I thought I was stuck. I would speak, make mistakes, forget words, and feel frustrated. But then, I reminded myself how far I had already come. I remembered those small victories. They became my motivation. I realized progress is not about perfection, it's about direction. As long as I was moving forward, I was winning. Sometimes we forget how powerful small effort can be. We think 5 minutes can't change anything. But 5 minutes a day turns into hours, hours into days, and days into confidence. Each little step builds a new layer of skill. Each success builds trust in yourself. That's how confidence grows, by keeping promises to yourself. The best part is that small wins don't just change your English. They change the way you think about life. You start believing that everything is possible with patience and practice. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop waiting for luck and start creating it. That shift in mindset is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. When I learned this, my life became lighter. I stopped rushing. I stopped comparing myself with others. I learned to celebrate small victories. Every time I practiced for 5 minutes, I smiled and said, "I did it." Those 2 words were powerful. I did it. They gave me pride, peace, and energy to keep going. That's what I want you to say too, every time you finish your 5 minutes. Don't say, "It's not enough." Say, "I did it." Even now, I still use this trick. Not just for English, but for everything in life. When I feel lazy, I remind myself of how far small actions can go. When I feel afraid, I remind myself that courage grows in small moments. And when I feel like giving up, I think about that first day when I spoke for 5 minutes and felt proud for the first time in years. You see, success is not a single mountain to climb. It's a long road full of tiny steps. But if you take those steps every day, you'll go further than you ever imagined. Small wins are like bricks. One by one, they build your foundation. And one day, you'll stand tall and realize that your consistency built something amazing. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't doubt your effort. Every time you give 5 minutes, you are planting a seed. One day, that seed will grow into something beautiful. Keep going, no matter how small your progress seems, because progress, no matter how small, is still progress. Your small wins are your proof that you're growing. Celebrate them, protect them, be proud of them, because in the end, it's not one big victory that changes your life. It's the hundreds of small ones that you never gave up on. And if you keep collecting these small wins, I promise, one day you'll wake up fluent not just in English, but in confidence, courage, and life itself. If this story inspired you, don't let it stop here. Take your 5 minutes today, speak one sentence, repeat one line, write one thought. That's how transformation begins. And if you want more videos like this simple, real and powerful, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below what your 5-minute English routine will be today.